So you want to start a revolution? This is part 2. This is Paul Gordon of State of Wake. You be sure you like, share, comment, and above all else, subscribe to the State of Wake channel. Because if you do not subscribe to the State of Wake channel, I will rickroll you. I will rickroll you in ways that you will never, ever expect. Okay. So in the first part of the video, we talked about the reality as it is. And the reality as it is there's very few people who want to replace the state with zero. Zip, not a zilch. And amongst that group, there's very few people that are organized, that are networked, that are interacting with one another on a regular basis, face-to-face, in proximity to one another, in the real. And amongst those folks, there's even a smaller number of people that actually can provide to any meaningful scale products and services that will replace the coercive enterprise. But now let me talk to you about the reality that will happen when things start to go off. Think about the nature of war. Who is drawn to war? Who excels at war? What kind of mentality is able to rise up in the ranks of leadership within a military machine? And that's an important question, because what happens in almost every revolution, every civil war, is the ones who are able to lead the battles and win those battles. Those are the ones that, whether it's them directly or them simply having the power, they're the ones that select leadership. And leadership defines the new reality to replace the old. How would a person like me, who favors, who strives to see the coercive enterprise replaced with zero, zip, not a zilch, how do I fit in to that type of organization? As I begin to grow in the ranks, am I going to comfortably do what leaders will do in that type of organization, where I look at human beings, for instance, as a means in and of them, a means to an end, my end, where I'm willing to sacrifice people, where I am willing to invoke godlike mythology around the cause to keep people blindly following me into death, preferably so I don't get killed. They do, I don't, but I look heroic doing it. How do I fit into that? I'm probably not going to do very well in that environment. Never mind the fact that all the people around me in this organization, they're going to still look at the person who stands up and says, I want to replace the state with zero, zip, not a zilch. Are you crazy? You got 15 heads growing out the back of your butt. That's pretty much how they look at us, and that won't change. You'll appear like you're a traitor. You'll be just as much a threat to them as the ISIS boogeyman is, especially in that time. So maybe you'll be able to rise to a certain rank, but at some level, there's going to be a decision that's going to have to be made, where you're going to have to go from being the stealth leader that's just, using the people around you to try to win this war, and then somehow you're magically going to convince people not to replace it with another coercive enterprise. You're going to get to a point where you're going to have to make a decision that takes you beyond acting to actually just becoming a state on state base yourself. So in that environment, we don't do very well. We're not going to be welcome, and we're not going to rise up in the ranks of those multiple military operations that would be going on. And we would be facing, in the United States of America, if there was a civil war, we would not be facing a North versus South scenario. We would be facing tens of different factions. In all of this, in the first part, I outlined what was, and what is, what was, what is. And in this second part, I'm talking about what is to come. And what is to come is an environment in which your ability to speak to others using logic and reason, to reach what might be the thought leaders, those the explorers of new possibilities, that's going to get cut off. Everything is going to be heightened. Emotions are going to be even more pitched than they already are. Jingoism abounds everywhere. Whatever group or cause that you are fighting for, that becomes your religion. And anyone who speaks about anything that is remotely in contradiction to your newfound religion, they're going to be looked at like a traitor. You could be executed right there on the spot. And yet so many of you, and I have to say there's plenty that don't fall into this category, but so many of you in the group that looks at the state and says, hey, let's replace it with zero, not a zilch. You folks, you're celebrating, you're using rhetoric, you're calling cops all of the usual derogatory terminology that you do. You have an audience beyond the zero zip, not a zilch audience that's reading what you're posting, what your videos are saying, and you are contributing to inflaming people to actually move towards a civil war in this country, and you think it's a good thing. Yet you have very few numbers, you have no organization, no network, you have nothing to replace what is with liberty institutions. You don't have any of that, and you somehow think if chaos abounds that somehow true liberty will win the day. But that's not going to happen. All that you are going to end up doing, and I'm not saying that we're going to have a civil war. I don't know whether we are or aren't. I'm not making any predictions on that front. All that you're basically going to do is you're going to allow individuals who worship at the feet of the coercive enterprise in all of its many denominational forms. All you're going to enable them to do is to burn everything to the ground that is dead weight. They're going to sweep in, whether it's one group that consolidates power across all this land or a few different groups that consolidate power across different parts of this land. What you're going to end up with are a whole bunch of reboots. They're going to wipe away all the dead weight, all the debt, all of the ill will. They're going to wipe away all of those onerous regulations. They're going to wipe away the centuries of bureaucracy that have built up. All of the things right now that are forcing the state to reveal its true despicable nature. You are going to enable them to hide it again, to be gentler, to start anew, a fresh, clean slate. And you're going to have to wait another 50, 100 plus years before we have the opportunity that we have before us that we must be patient for. The most important thing that we can do right now is to not share inflammatory rhetoric aimed at moving people to a froth so that they might think, yeah, it's time to pick up a gun. It's time to start a civil war. So many of you, that's what you're doing. The thing that we must do is we must be smart. We must bide our frickin' time. And the time is this. Build your freaking networks. Build where you live. Find people of liberty and start to build liberty institutions. If and when a civil war happens in America, even if you just had the numbers that I'm talking about, and I think my numbers are a little high, but if we actually worked at it, we would have these numbers. Imagine having 500-600 people in your area, say a population of maybe 10, 20,000, 10, 20, and a population of 10, 20,000 people where you have 500 people. 500 liberty-minded people that are able to take care of themselves. They can grow their own food. They can keep the lights on. So what happens? 500 some odd people, I'm telling you, 500 some odd people in an area of 20,000. If they're able to keep the lights on when things start to go boom, all these folks that might be sucked up to find a new coercive enterprise denomination to worship, they'll look at you and they'll say, this dude's got the light on. Yeah. How about you stay out of this? Let them kill each other. Let them do what they're going to do. Well, we're going to defend ourselves. And in today's technology, the defensive position has a distinct advantage over the offensive position. We defend where we live. And where we live, we extend our open arms, our land that has the lights on, to people who will look at us and say, dude, I get to eat over there. I get to live over there. I get to see my kids get an education over there. I get to enjoy some level of security over there. See, that's the thing that people want more than ideology. They want those key things in life. And if you can provide those key things and give them that cherry on top, which is what liberty is for most people, it's just the cherry on top. They don't care about it if it doesn't give them the freaking cake. But if you give them the cake, then they're going to love that cherry on top. And then we will build liberty amongst ourselves and amongst the people, that we can actually demonstrate that this idea that human beings can interact with one another in a voluntary capacity and still provide the type of and I'm going to use a word that most of you don't like, but I use it differently than most of you, of governance, to be able to provide a method where the one who is the transgressor gets punished, where we're able to provide a method where people can come together and settle disputes and reach consensus and build the things that individuals can't do by themselves, that only groups of people can build. If we can do those things, we will see liberty in the land. At least for seasons of time, at least in pockets of land here and there, we will see liberty. We will give ourselves and our children and our children's children opportunities to live as free people. But we're not going to do it if we follow what those in power want us to do. They want fear, and they want anger, they want rage. And if you are transmitting a primary fearful, angry, rage message, then you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because it's time. It's time to put down your keyboard from typing the next cops are evil, they deserve what they get, anybody, the people that did this were heroes. Every word that you say there is Barack Obama, is George Soros, is all the rest of these goons looking down at your Facebook post and they're saying, good, this plan is working. Because I am telling you, those powers that be, they understand that they have a system that is going to collapse on itself. They need a reboot. And you're helping them get to it. If you like this video, and why wouldn't you? Because I'm in it, and I've met me. I like this video, and I haven't even watched it yet. You be sure that you like, share, comment, and above all else, you subscribe to State of Wake so you can get all of these wonderful videos with me standing some weird place in my home with a inappropriate backdrop. Well, you probably can't see the inappropriate things going back there, but there's some really, really inappropriate things back there you can't see. This is Paul Gordon of State of Wake. Thank you for watching.